Welcome back to Narrow Path Doctrine. My name is Jim. So I was reading in 2 Samuel recently, and I stumbled upon 2 Samuel 24:1, and the verse really got me thinking. I've been doing a lot of videos on the sovereignty of God, and as soon as I got to this verse, it really stood out to me. So I thought I would do some research. I read a bunch of commentaries and really studied this verse. And it really started to make me think, so I thought, well, maybe I could make you think too. So let's take a further look at this. Basically, the question I want to ask is, did God cause David to sin? All right. So 2 Samuel 24:1, we read, "And again the anger of the Lord was kindled against Israel, and he moved David against them to say, Go number Israel and Judah." Now, this verse says that the Lord was angry with Israel and he moved David to number the people. However, this seems to conflict with the parallel passage in 1 Chronicles 21:1, which says, "And Satan stood up against Israel and provoked David to number Israel." Now, to rightly understand this, we must harmonize both of these passages without denying God's absolute sovereignty or man's responsibility for sin. The key theological truth here is that God is absolutely sovereign, right? Even over Satan's actions. Satan is a creature and cannot operate outside the boundaries of God's sovereign will, no matter what some preachers tell you. We see reference to this in Job 1:6 through 12, as well as Job 21:1 through 6, and Luke 22:31. So, when 1 Chronicles 21:1 says Satan provoked David, we must understand that Satan was the secondary cause, and God was the ultimate sovereign cause, having permitted Satan to act for his own purposes. This is not God committing or tempting David to sin, though. James 1:13 proves this. "Let no man say when he is tempted, I am tempted of God, for God cannot be tempted with evil, neither tempteth he any man. But God may righteously ordain that sin occur for a greater purpose, while not being the author or approver of sin." The Westminster Confession of Faith in chapter 3, section 1 summarizes this well. It says, "God from all eternity did, by the most wise and holy counsel of his own will, freely and unchangeably ordain whatsoever comes to pass, yet so as thereby neither is God the author of sin." So at the beginning of 2 Samuel 24:1, it explains that God's anger was already kindled against Israel, and thus the census was part of God's judgment upon the nation. David's sin, which he later confessed in 2 Samuel 24:10, was also the means by which God would bring chastisement upon Israel. Just as in Pharaoh's case, in Exodus 4 through 14, God may harden the heart or allow sin to progress, not by instilling sin in a man's heart, but by withdrawing restraining grace. See Romans 1:24 through 28 and Psalm 81:12 for reference there. John Calvin comments on this. He says, "Men do nothing save at the secret instigation of God, and do not discuss and deliberate on anything but what he has previously decreed with himself and determined by his secret direction. Hence they are not only the witness of his providence, but instruments of it." Now David's conscience smote him, and he repented. 2 Samuel 24:10 says, "And David's heart smote him after that he had numbered the people. And David said unto the Lord, I have sinned greatly in that I have done, and now I beseech thee, O Lord, take away the iniquity of thy servant, for I have done very foolishly." David chose to sin and bore full responsibility for it. The fact that God sovereignly ordained this does not absolve David of his guilt at all. So, no, God did not cause David to sin in the sense of being the author or instigator of evil, but God did sovereignly ordain the event using Satan as the means to bring about his righteous judgment on Israel. This fits perfectly with the understanding of divine sovereignty and human responsibility. God's decree encompasses all things, including the sinful actions of men, which he uses without himself being the author of sin. I don't think we'll truly understand this until we're actually there, and hopefully we will then. God sovereignly decreed the entire event, including David's sin, for the purpose of judgment. Satan was the secondary agent acting by God's permission. David sinned freely, acting in pride and unbelief, and was justly held accountable. And God remains holy, righteous, and unstained by sin. I think a really good verse here would be Isaiah 55:8, which says, "For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways, saith the Lord." All right, that is going to wrap up this video. I hope you enjoyed it here today. Thank you so much for joining me. Be sure to give the video a thumbs up, share it with others. And if you have not subscribed as of yet, please do so. It helps the channel out. And click the notification bell to get updates when new videos like this one come out. So until next time, remember, true doctrine fuels a living, breathing faith. God bless.
The narrow path is the way that leads to life. We walk it every day, through blessings and through strife. The narrow path